consortium, and one of the original ideas behind the consortium was Columbus had made a voyage of discovery 500 years ago. The consequences of that voyage were the world we are living in today, with both its promise and its problems. Our premise was, it's time for another voyage of discovery, only this one would not be a unilateral one in which Europe discovers America, but one in which we discover each other. The mechanism for this boat is no longer one which is restricted to the water, but is one which now applies the ether or the airwaves, the telecommunications boat, the boat which enables us to know each other face to face around the world. You know, earlier today we had a meeting with, as was mentioned, the Commissioner of Human Rights of the City of New York. And in the discussion, the Commissioner asked Professor Ecker, I believe it was, who had a pure culture. The answer is Hitler had a pure culture. Hitler had a pure culture. He had an ethnic cleansing that we are all too familiar with. Yesterday, I had an occasion to see a group of very old men and women and men in their 70s and 80s. They were the remaining veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade who had gone to Spain from the United States to fight fascism. They get together periodically to, you know, like most veterans, to do good deeds and things like that. Well, they're going to have a luncheon or dinner in April of this coming year in '93. And they've decided on a theme for that. And the theme for that luncheon is oppose the rise of fascism. We know it's necessary. We see fascism rising again. The problem is that's what they did 55 years ago. That's what brought them into existence. And yet, we still see the necessity for that. Now, what's the difference that we can make with a telecommunications canoe or boat or vehicle of mutual discovery? We can discover that we do not have a unique or singular or special ethnic identity, but we have our own identity, and our own identity can be shared with all the other identities of the world. A few days ago in the New York Times, it was reported that an amazing thing is about to happen. We're going to have cable television with 750 different channels. And everybody is saying, oh my God, what are we going to do with 750 different channels? How are we going to, you know, TV Guide will be this big and things like that, right? Well, I think 750 channels is totally inadequate. I think what we need to aspire to is 4 billion channels. A channel which enables each of us to reach out at will to any other person on the world, to discover the specialness and uniqueness of all other people. And we can do it. We can do it. We can do it with the capacity for telecommunications, for interactive identity. You know, very often I think about the $60 million or so it takes to produce something like Terminator 10 or whatever. $60 million. Right? Why can't you produce your own television show and show it to all the world that's interested? Show the things you want to say, and in turn receive the things that the world, that the people throughout the world wish to say to you. You know, no more ethnic cleansing and ethnic specialness or anything like that, but each individual connecting directly to every other individual. That is what we must work toward. We can do it. Technology is possible. Usually when I talk about these things, I pull out this giant drawing of what's actually a very tiny retina, which I've been working on for many years, but something which would allow you to look at any person around the world. You know, when you watch the Persian Gulf War and you saw those so-called smart bombs, a smart bomb is one that doesn't explode, you know? But you watch these smart bombs, right, you forget the way you see it. The bomb goes into the building and then all of a sudden there's snow. There's not snow, there's death and destruction. What we really need is smart telecommunications that show you that at the receiving end of that is a human being, a child, a man, a woman, right? That same technology that's guiding that smart bomb could have made us friends instead. And I think it's up to us to demand that that telecommunications capability enable us to communicate person to person, man to woman, child to child, regardless of our so-called ethnic or national origin, but rather human to human. And if we insist that that technology is our technology and must be used for us to communicate and not to murder each other, I think we will succeed in defeating the rise of fascism again. Thank you.